Welcome, everyone. Thank you for attending today's SEL webinar, Simplify Lift Station Operations While Reducing Costs with SEL Pump Controller. Before we start, I'd like to bring a few items to your attention. This is an audio-only broadcast. All participants are muted. Today's webinar will be an hour long, including questions at the end of the presentation. There will be a recording, which will be available on our website as soon as possible. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please submit them to all panelists with the Q&A tool at the bottom right-hand corner. Any questions that are not addressed during the live event and the Q&A session will be answered by our experts through email. Our presenter today is Tim Pilcher. Tim is an automation application engineer at SEL in Dothan, Alabama. He joined SEL in 2011 to provide integration support and teach about SEL products to customers in Alabama, Georgia, and the Panhandle of Florida. Prior to SEL, Tim worked at Kimberly-Clark and Georgia Pacific and has brought in a strong industrial process background and extensive automation and customer application knowledge. I also would like to note that Tim has worked on the development of the SEL 2411P with our automation research and development team, whom we have two members joining us today as panelists to answer your questions. Now I will pass the microphone to Tim.
Thank you, Farah. Can you hear me all right? I'm going to assume that you can. So this is different, because we're not in front of a group of people, but I just want to thank you all for coming and tell you that I'm excited to be with you all today and talk about this product that I had the pleasure of developing with our customers as well as with our R&D staff. And to bring this product to you today has been a labor of several years to get this product closer and closer to what customers are finding to be a simple solution to a really critical infrastructure application. And so, I'm excited about this product because this is the first product that SEL has released that really targets the water wastewater industry. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that you can't use this product in any other industry with similar applications and have used this product in other industries in similar applications. It's a great product for that. But I love the fact that we met with our water wastewater customers and looked at an application and designed that product around that application. So we're going to talk to you about that. And for those of you that are in attendance that are not familiar with SEL, Schweitzer Engineering Laboratories, I'm going to talk a little bit about our company throughout this presentation because I think it's important to know how our company operates, what do we think about when we build our products. So I'll talk a little bit about that as we go through this presentation. And I'm going to attempt to be done with the presentation within 40 minutes so that we can all have a conversation together and answer questions together over this WebEx. All right. So when we met with customers to talk about the water wastewater application, we really wanted to go in there and solve some problems. That's what we do. We have engineering is our middle name, and so we want to design products that fix problems within critical infrastructure. And so I'm going to talk to you about what we tried to do with this product and what we feel like we've accomplished a great step forward in that direction and just how we did that. So I'll talk a little bit about the operator challenges for lift stations that were brought to us, what they were looking for. And I'm also going to talk about our design philosophy that we applied to the 2411P. And what I want you to think about as we go through this is understand, create, simplify. That's kind of the steps of our design philosophy, and I'll elaborate more on that and how we're doing that. I'm also going to talk to you about individually how we have addressed these subjects coming up underneath the slide of how the 2411P enables the operator to have a reliable, simple solution connected to any SCADA system that allows non-proprietary protocols, improving field visibility with diagnostics, and how we're reducing operational costs with this product. So first, when we met with the utilities, so because we do a lot of work in the electric utility space, and that's where we're normally known, we have a lot of municipalities that have electric utilities, water, wastewater, gas, and several other services that they provide to their communities. And so when we started asking these customers, you know, what are you doing on water, wastewater side, and what can we bring to the table to help you guys with some applications that you're struggling with? One of the main things that they brought up was costly controller failures. And they really liked the fact that SEL quality and reliability on the electric utility side was just something that they had seen missing in their specific operations and applications within the water, wastewater side. And costly control failures goes into a lot of things, right? It's not just I got to buy another controller because this one was damaged or it doesn't work, or I have to upgrade because this product has become made obsolete. It also goes into if you do have issues, I got to roll a truck to go out there and fix that problem, spend time troubleshooting that problem. We wanted to address those things as well, not just the quality and reliability. One of the other issues that came up in the discussion was locked and proprietary protocols that forced customers to kind of feel like they were held hostage by their system approach with a product that they couldn't integrate another product into because it wouldn't work with the rest of their system. It may not work with their SCADA system. It may have had a proprietary protocol, and that's all that their master station could talk to. And so we felt like that was a sensitivity that we could improve on by providing a solution that not only provided them non-proprietary standard protocols, but also have flexibility in the product, because the applications are changing and growing. You always want more functionality out of that application, and so having a product that's expandable is important. The other thing was being able to see what's going on in the field. We wanted to make sure that that was something that operators could very quickly diagnose what the problem was, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in depth in this presentation, as well as creating a simple solution. We really want to focus and get to simplicity. And what I'm sure that you've always noticed is that simplicity doesn't come right away. It's a process of getting there, and it comes from understand, create, and simplify. So let me talk to you a little bit more about that design philosophy of understand, create, simplify, and the way that we apply that. So what guides us through not only how we interact with our customers, how we support our customers, how we design new products, how we manufacture products, and how we take care of that whole entire process for critical infrastructure is our values. I think it's important to know what our values are and that how important those are to driving what we do. And so, you know, I'll pick out one value here out of the 9 that are on the screen. Quality is such an important value for us, because we know that on the other end of every product we sell is a critical infrastructure customer, whether it's an electric utility, an industrial that's manufacturing something, or whether it's a water wastewater utility. There is a community behind that application as well. And when we have an issue with a product, or we have a product that doesn't work correctly, or that gets damaged from the very brutal environment that it's subjected to, we feel connected to making sure that we have a reliable, resilient product out there because there's a community behind it. And then customer focus is so important to me. As an application engineer, that's what I do. I take care of these customers that are in my territory and throughout the country, depending on, you know, whether I'm on national phones or not. And my connection there is that I want to be able to go, and that's my gift. I solve problems, and that's what I want to do. And there's so many of us at SEL, that's what we do, is solve those problems. And we're guided by this statement, we do business the way our mothers would want us to. And that's just such a freeing statement to know that, hey, listen, you know, this is something that somebody needs. You know, there's a community behind this. Let me go out there and help them get this thing going. Then let's talk about how we can make this a reliable and resilient solution going forward. So SEL has a lot of business, and we primarily do business in the U.S. electric utility industry. And so we have been involved in the Newton Evans survey for years now, and this gives us an indicator. But first I want to describe to you, for those that are not in the electric utility industry, what a relay is. A relay is not just what you would think of as a small ice cube relay that you see in one of your control panels, but basically it's a very intelligent, purpose-built controller that protects the electric grid, controls the electric grid, and is a very sophisticated piece of equipment and very important to the resiliency of what the smart grid looks like right now. We're very proud of the results of this survey from year to year as it gets done, and this is a survey where the U.S. electric utilities give feedback as to what their favorite relay supplier looks like. And time again, we have the kinds of results that you see here. And that just motivates us to continue to do what we need to do to continue to be getting those results, because we're providing the right kind of service and value to those customers. This product is no different. The way we've approached this product is this year we had our second 2411P Tech Exchange conference down in Florida. And what we do is we invite integrators and users and possible new users to this meeting to sit down with folks like me, our marketing group, our R&D group, our sales force, and talk to us about the application, talk to us about the product, and tell us a little bit about what it is that we need to do to get to the next level or solve the next problem or make it simpler to use, because simplicity is a process. And there's communication that goes on between the end user, the integrator, and the vendor to get to a place where the product becomes more and more simple. And that's what we like to do at SEL, is get very close to the customers that put their hands on the products. So the 2411P is a very versatile, hardened, feature-rich solution focused on pumping applications. And so the application we're going to talk about today, or focus on today, is lift stations, but there's several other applications that we've been very successful with this product, whether it be water well and water systems using tanks and booster stations for a complete system approach for control, or whether it be other applications with pumps that do level control. And there's some applications where we do level control that has nothing to do with pumps. And so it's a expandable and very customizable product with a lot of features. And so, but today we're just going to talk about the lift station application. Another thing that goes into our design is, because we don't charge for repairs and we have a 10-year warranty on our products, we design these products to last for more than 20 years. And after serving our customers for over 30 years, we don't charge for repairs regardless of the product age. And there's a reason why we do that. We do that to continue to build reliable and dependable products. We do that because if a customer has a problem with a product and it's not under warranty, then they may not send it back. They may just buy something else, and we'll never know what happened to that product and how we can make it better. So this has been something that we've done since the beginning of the company, just to continue to be close to our customers and to help us to develop good products for critical infrastructure. So SEL, we manufacture our products in the United States. This is a employee-owned company. These are some of our manufacturing sites within the United States. And what we do here is, each of these manufacturers, each of these employees that are out here building these products for you, know that there's a community behind that product and that it has to be a reliable, resilient product so that it doesn't negatively affect those customers. And because we're all employee owners, we have a deep connection to that mission statement of building a good product for critical infrastructure. So what are the results of that type of focus? So the 2411 platform has a mean time between failure of over 900 years, which that means that if you had 900 controllers installed in your system, you can expect an average of 1 hardware failure per year. And what you would do is you would send that product back to us, and we would repair or replace it and send it back to you. And so this is how we do business, and we have a lot of confidence in those numbers because we do get feedback, and we do have, products that get hit by lightning that may get damaged. We try to make them more resilient so that they don't, and we even have customers that may wire it up wrong and pop a power supply or cause damage to the product, and then that helps us to get a better relationship with that customer and teach, and then they feel a little bit better also that we're in it with them to make sure that they have an easy way to learn how to use our products without having to pay for a replacement product when that happens. So these numbers don't happen by accident. It happens because we do a lot of design and we do a lot of testing because we know that the customers are using this in critical infrastructure and in some very environmentally challenging locations. And so these are the specifications that you'll see on the 2411P as well as Class 1 Div 2 certification. But we test beyond these specifications to see how robust our product is so we can know the limits of that product. We also add an additional measure of protection for the 2411P. It comes as a default selection in the product to do conformal coating over the entire product. This means that it's going to be covered with a form of plastic substance that protects against high humidity and moisture, salt spray, corrosive environments. I came from the paper industry prior to this. We had a lot of hydrogen sulfide. I know that in a lot of the water wells, there's corrosive agents in the chlorine area. And so having a product that has this kind of level of protection so that if there is a leak or there is these types of corrosive gases in the cabinets, it still provides a very reliable solution to continue to operate through those extreme situations. Another thing to provide a reliable solution is to give you really good visibility as to what the problem is when you come on site and you're troubleshooting a station. So not only do we have configurable LEDs, push buttons, and plain text display messages so that it can give you good visible indication as to what's happening and what needs to be addressed to get that station back up and running. We also have things called SOE, which is sequence of event reports with timestamps to the millisecond, as well as data logging within the device. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about what that looks like as we go through this presentation. This slide right here, to me, the message behind that for me is no guessing. We want you to be able to go into the field and to troubleshoot without guessing what's happening and make decisions based on exactly what happened. There's so many times where you have to take an educated guess on what happened in the field and what do we need to fix, and I'm not really sure if that's what happened. It had to be these 3 or 4 things that caused this. If you know what happened, then you know you've addressed that problem with the solution that you're working on. So simple setup is something that we have been focusing on from the beginning of this, when this product was first released back in 2016. And with the latest firmware, we've added some more simplicity. So we have a feature called Station Settings that you can set up the lift station application in as few as 4 settings. It's kind of an interview process. You answer a few questions, duplex or triplex. How are you doing level control for this application? What kind of phase monitoring are you doing on this application? And then you're done. And it creates that custom application settings file just for you so that the station can come up and run. In this selection process, you have multiple modes of level sensing. You can have a level transducer with 1 or 2 or all backup floats, or you can just have a float application for controlling a duplex up to a triplex lift station. There's also fault detection involved in this simple settings file that it creates. It's going to check to see if your transducer is good or not, and if it fails, it automatically fails over to the backup floats and operates the station. If you lose a pump, it automatically is going to promote those other pumps to make sure that that station is always under control and is always operating as efficiently as possible. Anytime it detects a float out of sequence, it's going to go ahead and operate in that mode with the floats that it has available to operate. Customizable plain text alarms. This means that, you know, it's going to tell you in plain text exactly what the problem is on the screen. And what's really nice is that if you don't like those text messages and they don't speak to your application or to your operators, those are easily changed by just adding in the new text that you want it to display. Failover mode customization, you know, if you need to add additional components, this is a very customizable product. So any of the settings within the device can be adjusted with the free software that the product comes with, and you can customize this to any of those corner cases that you have particularly run into and are sensitive to within those applications. Even to the point where we've seen folks just totally redo how they configure this product because they want to add all these other different features or different components to this ever-growing application out there in the field. To help you do that and to get off the ground and running pretty quick after you purchase the 2411P, we have how-to videos on the web page. If you go to the 2411P product page on the website, there's a couple of videos that show you exactly how easy it is to set this product up from scratch. We talked a little bit about the protocols that are available within the product. So we want to make this as simple as possible for you to work with it with your existing SCADA system, your existing enunciation system. And so we have multiple protocols in the product that are public. So we have DNP3 and Modbus over Ethernet or serial. And Modbus supports up to 2 masters, DNP3 supports up to 5, and you can do multi-protocol over Ethernet connections. And so it really provides a flexible solution for customers that are migrating from maybe a Modbus master to a DNP3 type of system, whether it's from serial to Ethernet. It's very, very flexible and can really help as you know, upgrade your system and add different new protocols to that. So let's talk about what does it take to wire this product up. So the picture that you see here is the side of the product, and what you see is that you can see that it's a slot-based chassis. So you have 5 different slots on the product. I'm sorry, 6. And what you have there is you have the pre-labeled I/O that allows you to know exactly where to wire up the inputs and outputs to control that lift station. So let's take a closer look at what that looks like. So the first 3 cards I'm going to show you are the digital input and digital output cards for controlling a lift station with just float switches. And so you can see that you have in slot C, as in Charlie, you can see the lag 2, lag 1 lead, all your float switches come into that card, as well as your handoff auto switches down towards the bottom. And the nice thing about these different cards and that strategy is I can pick my voltage for each individual card. So for my C card, I can use 24-volt digital inputs or 120-volt digital inputs. I don't have to put an interposing relay in there to get all the voltages the same within my panel, and that eliminates another point of failure in the enclosure with the controller. Let's talk about that pump card in slot D as in dog. You see that there's outputs at the top in pump 1, pump 2, pump 3. Those are high current outputs. Those high current outputs can handle, they can make 30 amps, break 10 amps, and they can carry up to 4 amps continuously. That allows you to be able to do a lot with those outputs without having to have those interposing relays in place in your panel, which you eliminate that other point of failure. All of the digital inputs are optically isolated, which allows you to not have to worry so much about transients from lightning strikes or from power fluctuations taking out some of your inputs. Now you've still got two cards that you can use in the slot Z and E of the unit, and those you can configure to be several different options. Now, what we have out there what we have up there on the screen right now is some options that we see a lot of customers choosing right now. You have the analog input card that has the level and the flow meter input, and so that's typically what a customer will choose if they've got a level transducer, a flow meter, maybe they've got a water pressure sensor that they want to bring back because they have a water and wastewater system and they want to be able to have more visibility in the field. And so any of those can come into those analog input cards, as well as current transducers to be able to see how much current the motor is pulling and be brought back to either be viewed on the SCADA system, or you can add logic in the controller to use that to make good decisions on what the controller should do if it sees some changes in current or it sees a bad level or flow. This other card to the far right on the slide, in slot E, is our phase monitoring card. This brings in three-phase voltage up to 300 volts AC. Anything higher than that, you can put a PT in front of and get it down to something below that 300 volts, and we can look at that analog voltage signal, and we're sampling that at 4 millisecond sampling. So we're sampling it 4 times per electrical cycle, and stay tuned. I'm going to show you what that looks like on a page later on in this presentation as to how you can see what's going on your power side of this pump controller. So as we continue to focus on how do we simplify the application and the control of this application at the station. Well, the 2411P, you notice that we have a lot of I/O available on the back of that product. If you're only using 2 floats, all the other inputs that were pre-labeled for those float switches can be used for anything else, any other statuses, seal fail, thermal fail. You can add additional input cards for any other I/O that you want to add. And so what we're seeing is a lot of customers will not only replace their standalone pump controller with this product, but they'll also replace the RTU in the field as well. They'll get rid of their interposing relays, and they'll get rid of their phase monitor relay. And all of a sudden, you have a lot less components, and you have a single unit that's looking at everything in the station and understanding what's going on and reporting that information back to SCADA, making good decisions on how that application should operate, and has some expandability for future needs at that location. Because we all know that as we go forward in the future, there's going to be things that we want to do at these locations in the field that we're not doing today, and usually that requires SCADA interface, additional control, at least additional data enunciation and telemetry points coming back to the SCADA system. So one other thing that helps simplify the operation with a standalone controller, I talked a lot about limiting the number of devices by having a controller like this that's expandable and scalable for your application, but also keep in mind we've got that single contact for technical support, and I'm one of the guys on tech support. We have hundreds of people on tech support. You're always going to talk to a human. I'll talk a little bit more about that in the future, but that helps a lot to know that you can pick up the phone and talk to someone who's talked to a lot of utilities that are using the same product in the same application and knows how to answer those questions quickly and efficiently. So when we talk about visibility in the field and being able to make decisions quickly on what's happening, I want to show you a couple of slides here with some examples of what that looks like. So the front of the unit has a 2-line display, and has big text messages that scroll as the alarms populate. We also have those LEDs that come pre-programmed to demonstrate what the level is at the location, but you can always change those to be just the alarms you want to see, and the labels are slide-in configurable labels, so you can print them out on a printer and change the text. And a lot of customers do this because they want those lights to enunciate based on specific alarms that they want their operators to key in on and focus on when they walk out to the station. Now, looking at this, the data in the device through our software, this is some of the information that you can see. You have a motor report that gives you all kinds of information on the status of the pumps. And all of this information you see on the screen: total run time, last start time, last reset date, total start count, as well as these sliding windows of 2, 24, and 48 hour start and run times. All that information is also available as SCADA points that you can bring back to your SCADA system. But you can also use this to troubleshoot in the field with a laptop using software, or you can also do this directly from from a remote location if you have engineering access communication to those sites over some kind of communication network. Another really important feature of this product is the fact that we are logging every digital change, up to 96 different elements in the product. We're logging it to the millisecond of when they change states. So it makes it really simple to go in and troubleshoot what happened. And remember, we don't want to guess what happened. We want to know what happened so we can quickly troubleshoot the product. So speaking of knowing what happened, this is an event report that we pulled out of a pump controller at a lift station with an open delta connection to their electric utilities power supply. This was when they switched over to generator power, and what you'll see is there's an orange bar on the left, and then there's a purple pinkish bar on the right, about halfway through the graph. That is a time frame of 103 milliseconds, right? A tenth of a second. And so what you can see is the voltage has sagged significantly, because we should be seeing 230 volts on the yellow trace, and the blue and the red should be about 120. And the voltage sagged so significantly that it dropped out some of the inputs, which caused the pump controller to shut off the pumps. This way, the customer knew that they have a generator problem, and that when they start up a pump, it was dragging that generator down, and they need to take a look at it, as opposed to just getting a phase monitor indication and not really knowing what happened. So if you ever wonder if you're getting great power and if any fluctuation of voltage or voltage transients are causing you issues at the station, adding this phase monitor card is about a $200 cost adder to the product. And it'll do your phase monitoring for you as well. And there's several different things that you can do when you're setting this up, but it automatically detects whether you have open delta or a Y connection to your power source, which is really nice. Another thing that we're doing is we have an analog. We really like to use DNV3. It's an event-driven protocol, and what that does is it allows us to be able to log historical data during communication failures or communication lapses. So you don't have to poll the device constantly. It's automatically buffering this analog and digital data. So what does that look like? So in this situation, we had an event. We lost communication at this point right here where it says event. So during this time period, we buffered the controls at this station that was using a level transducer. And if you count those level transitions, we went through 12 cycles of the lift station pumping down and letting it fill back up, okay, before we ended up filling up our entire buffer. And of course, I'm doing this on a simulator to create a lot of activity. Next, what you'll see is the analog buffer is full, so it's not collecting any more data. And then this is where communication is restored, and it backfills in the SCADA system's information on the graph. Now, the digital buffer is a lot larger, and so you'll notice we didn't lose any digital data at all. What we were able to record here is every start, every stop, every float tip, every virtual float tip. If you have an analog transducer, you have virtual float tips, down to the exact millisecond, so you don't lose any of that troubleshooting that you want to do. What it does is it allows you to use your SCADA system and the data that you're collecting to make better field decisions, even if you have not a very reliable communication infrastructure. It also allows you to be able to take that information that's time-stamped to the millisecond and be able to trust it to really do some neat things about predicting flows in your system, because everything's time-stamped to the millisecond. Even if the communication lags, you can write some software to really coordinate from one location to the next. Hey, we just started up here at this exact millisecond. You're going to see flow at this other station at this exact time based on some algorithms we have in the controller. So some other things that help with reducing costs is getting tech support. Okay, we don't have any accounts, we don't have any credit cards. You call the phone, you're going to talk to a live person, and we're going to answer your questions. The other thing is that the way we handle customer service, we have this 10-year warranty that's written, but we don't charge for repairs of products, and if we can't fix it, if we can't repair it, we're going to replace the unit for free. If you send a product in to be repaired, you're going to hear something from our product hospital within 72 hours. And a lot of times it's that they've received the product, this has been repaired, and it's headed out the door at this specific time, okay? Another thing that we do is we stay really close to our customers. So we have a lot of manufacturing sites, offices throughout the country, internationally as well as nationally, and we have a lot of panel assembly factories as well. And the key is that we want to be really, really close to our customers all the time, because we know that they're providing a service for critical infrastructure. There's a community behind that, and we want to provide solutions for these critical infrastructure applications at a fair cost. So when you look at the 2411P cost of owning this product over 10 years, then you look at the purchase cost. There is no configuration software cost. The protocols come as part of a standard package with the product, and the technical support and the repair really puts you in a great position to be successful with this product without having to add a lot of additional repeat costs to that application. Another thing that's really comforting to a lot of utilities is you get money to do a big change out on your system, and you make a selection based on really good testing out, asking other utilities, what should we be using? What is this product going to do? How is it going to work? And you learn all those things. You write a specification, and then you put it in there, and you start this 10-year migration project. How many times do you get to the point where you're 5 years in and that product is either about to be obsoleted, or they're not going to support it anymore, or you got to, or they may just not even make the product anymore. And that's where there's with SEL, we are going to support the product until the end of life of that product, and you get to choose the end of the life of that product. You get to choose when you are not going to use that product anymore. In fact, we had a customer call in with a 21. That was one of the first relays we ever made. We haven't made that product for 25 years, and they sent it in for repairs. We repaired the unit and sent it back to the customer, and they put it back in service. And that's a really neat thing to know that you can do that. But we're going to be making upgrades to the firmware of the product and adding new features as we continue to understand, create, and simplify this product with customer interaction. So I said all that to kind of summarize this, that this product is very rugged and reliable for these applications. We understand critical infrastructure, so we want to support it with these types of low cost of ownership solutions with 10-year warranty, make it easy to use because you know we're going to be there to help you get it going. Non-proprietary solutions, so you can integrate it into any normal SCADA system that uses Modbus or DMP3. And it's customizable, so you can continue to grow your application with this product by adding additional logic and additional features, just using the significant amount of logic available within the product itself. So with that, I want to open it up for questions.
Thank you, Tim. We have arrived at the Q&A portion of the event, and today we have Max Ryan, Senior Engineering Manager, and Martin Lee, Application Engineer from the Automation Research and Development team as panelists to help answer your question. And we will kick it off with the first question, asking about how many pumps we can control using the 2411P, and our audience asked if we can control up to 6 pumps, or do we need to use more than one device?
Okay, I'll answer that one. So, Jeff, the way I would do this, you can configure the 2411P to operate up to 4 pumps, and so that if you had a 4-pump station, you could absolutely do that. It would require a little bit of added logic, which your local application engineer would be glad to walk you through that and help you with the testing of that. And then if you were going to do more than 4 pumps, or if you had a 6-pump station and you wanted to use 2 pump controllers to kind of add some redundancy there, then we have a proprietary protocol that the 2 devices can talk to each other on a serial port between, and they can coordinate which one is operating and in what stages. And so that can be customized pretty easily, and we would also love to work with you on a 6-pump station and do a proof of concept with that. We've kicked around that idea several times, just waiting for a customer to say, hey, we want to do it, let's talk more about
it. Second question is there a pre-designed and validated solution done along with the SEL 849 as a motor control protection? And are there any plans to add Ethernet IP protocol to interact with Rockwell PLC user?
We can answer that. Go ahead.
As far as the pre-designed test and validated solution within an 849, there are digital outputs on the 849 that can be used with interlocking logic into the 2411P, or if we require coordination between the motor protection relay and the 2411P, we can slide a small real-time automation controller in there to handle communications between the 2 devices and still leverage all the features that are available on the 2411.
Okay, so that was Martin Lee. This is Max Ryan. Thanks everyone for coming. And with regard to adding Ethernet IP protocol, we don't have that now. We are considering that for next year. The good news is that we have it in our 7XX platform, so it would not be like the first time that we added it to this platform. So there's a code base out there that would allow us to do it for a relatively smaller cost, but it would probably not be until mid-2021 that we would have
that. Max, we also received a question asking about the touch screen and when will it come to the 2411P?
At this point, it would be late 2021 if we're able to do it. There is a development cost for us on that as well. So that would probably be second half 2021 if we're able to do that.
Okay.
And Max, I would say that those are also some questions that have come up in the past at the technology exchanges, and so just we consider all of those things as we move forward with roadmaps for the product. I want to take Richard's question, if that's okay, Farah. Is that okay?
Yeah, I was
okay,
about
so
to
Richard asked a question about customization being added to the product for operation of a sump agitator, pump seal flushing controls, and things like that. And absolutely, Richard. Originally we wrote all the logic for the pump controller just in Logic for the 2411P. And so now all of that logic has been emptied and pushed into a lot of the firmware. And so now we have just a ton of extra logic to do some really neat things for any of these add-on applications at a lift station or a pump station where you need to do some additional control, automation, any kind of sophisticated stuff. I could show you some applications that we've done with the pump controller to do multiple level controls out of one pump controller with some really neat applications. So, the tip of the iceberg is the lift station controller. That's the simple stuff. Even though you can get really complex, but adding on, that's where we see the 2411P as being a great product because you can do all of those additional add-ons. And we'll be glad to work with you on learning how to do that or testing out some proof of concepts.
Oh, another question is, how does the 2411P handle SEL and thermal alarms?
Okay, so the SEL and thermal fail alarms right now, that we had so many customers that it was about 50-50. Either they brought them directly into the pump controller and let the pump controller handle them, or they had them interlocked hardwired. So what we've done with the SEL fail, thermal fail is we have logic that you can use to interlock that to the pump runs and then enunciate. And it's more in the form of an application guide that you add that logic to, and that's where your local application engineer is a great resource for seeing how that's done. I've helped numerous integrators put in that logic and test it, and I'd be glad to work with you directly, and I can get you an existing settings file and walk you through what that looks like.
We received also another question about access to the 2411P simulator. How can we provide access?
I can, so depending on where you're at, we can get a sales rep or an application engineer to loan you one, and then we'll work with you over the phone to test out your application or your many applications. And then, of course, if it's something where you feel, if you're an integrator and you want to use one for a long period of time, we can sell you one as well if you don't want to be returning one. It's all made from our existing products, the Axion along with the 2411P. So just shoot us an email and I'll be glad to kind of give you a demo and show you what it looks like, and then talk about your specific needs and how we can get around those.
And the next question is asking for example where the diagnostics have helped in troubleshooting a pump controller.
I'll talk to that. We actually had a customer try out a 2411P, and one of the operators inadvertently pressed a button that disabled the 2411P. And they were trying it out as a demo, and we also had they had a lot of other things going on. They were a potential new customer. And what happened was they couldn't figure out what to do, and they instead of calling us, they went ahead and swapped it back out with their other controller. So I came on site and I powered it up and I pulled the SER out of it, and I said, well, do you want to know what happened? And we walked through. The button was pushed at this time. The high level alarm went off here. They went out and put it in hand and pumped the station down. They couldn't figure out why it wouldn't operate in auto. And then they ended up taking it out of service. So it allowed us to be able to say, oh man, we should have just given you guys a call. I didn't realize that happened. That's really neat that you can see all that from that product. And it puts us in a good position as well as the customer, because you don't have to guess at why the product didn't do what you thought it would do, or what happened in the field, because to the millisecond you can see all of that. It just reads like a history book. I see a question about, can we implement the 2411P logic into an Axion platform? Can I answer that one real quick?
Of course, yeah.
So Martin, with the Axion, the Axion is kind of our RTU replacement or PLC rack style product, and so that product, you could customize all that a lot and write all that logic from scratch. And depending on the application, we can, if you send us a question, and we'll be glad to walk you through any of the questions that you have with how to do logic. There's a lot of great videos online for how to write logic in the Axion product, and we do see integrators use that product for these really large stations that may have a lot more I/O and become really complex, and they really just want to be able to use SEL hardware because of the conformal coding, and the way that it's made to handle these really environmentally challenging applications. So don't hesitate to give us a call with any additional questions on that.
A similar question, how does the 2411P handle SEL fail and pump thermal alarms?
Okay, yep, so we've got some logic to handle that, and we can walk you through that, and I can provide a settings file that shows you how to integrate that into that solution.
One second, I just received a new question. Oh no, that was just a comment, sorry about that.
Oh, here we go. There's another question that popped up. Could it bring data into the unit via Modbus and then use it and also send it out via DNP3? So no, it doesn't. It cannot be a Modbus master, but what it can do is it can report back to a Modbus master as well as a DNP3 device. So although, Jeff, it can't go out and pull information from another Modbus device and act like a data concentrator and do a protocol conversion, it can respond to two masters. And where we see that is some folks will have a panel view that's a Modbus master in the cabinet to provide display functionality, and then they'll also do DNP back to the master station. That's the place where we see multi-protocols used to the device at one location.
Right. So just to add to that, so someone could theoretically write a remote bit from a Modbus master to the 2411 and then have that reported out via DNP to a different SCADA system, or vice versa with remote analogs.
We have a few more minutes if anybody have a question that I'd like to type. Okay. Oh,
I can answer those two questions.
Sounds good. Take it.
Jeff, I'll answer that question about the data archiving function. So yeah, the data archiving function is through DNP3 and not Modbus. Obviously, Modbus is not an event-driven protocol, and so it's polling heavy if you want to not miss information. We really like to use DNP3 for those applications. Max, you want to get Alex's question?
I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
He asks, are there communication options that support both fiber and copper, or is it one or the other?
It is one or the other for fiber Ethernet. You could have we have a fiber serial, and then you could do copper Ethernet, but or you could have two different serial ports, port 2 being fiber and port 3 serial port being RS-232. But currently we don't have an option to have, it's either both fiber or both copper.